I want to bring in Guy St. Jacques. He's a former Canadian ambassador to China. Mr. Ambassador, good morning. So glad that you could be with us. So China fired back today, and China has been very clear that they are not backing down, saying that they firmly oppose Trump's tariffs and that they will resolutely take countermeasures, which they have done. What do you make of where we are in this trade war between the world's biggest superpowers?
Well, I think that China has come to the conclusion that, in fact, the Chinese, they will pay a price, but the Americans could pay a larger price. Because if we look at what China exports to the U.S., and, we all know that there's a huge imbalance on the trade, that the U.S. Trade deficit with China is somewhere between $300 and $360 billion, depending on which figures you look at. But China exports lots of TV sets, computers, iPhones, and they know that with tariffs of over 100%, these products will become, the price will become prohibitive. And their calculation is that Donald Trump will have to blink and will have to come down. They are not eager to start negotiating with the Americans. And I think probably, this was the expectation of Donald Trump. But in reality, the Chinese have prepared their population. They have said that there could be hardship. Of course, they are still quite dependent on the American market, although they have reduced their dependency from about 19% in 2018 to about now 14.7% of their export that go to the U.S. But also what they have indicated is that they could broaden their retaliatory measures. For instance, they could stop Hollywood films from being shown in China. They could go after American companies that offer legal services or are involved in government procurement. They have also indicated they could look at abuse of intellectual property protection by some U.S. firms. And they have also something very powerful. They could decide at some point to stop exporting rare earths and critical minerals to the United States, and that would make a huge impact on the U.S. economy.
So you think that the U.S. will blink? As we watch Trump and his language and his movements and his action, he just seems to be sloughing it all off. But you're telling us it sounds like the U.S. has more to lose in this trade war with China than it does with any other country.
Well, I think that the Chinese are calling Donald Trump's bluff, and they know that the U.S. depends on their products, that these cannot be replaced overnight. And they are using this also to buttress their long-term objective to replace the United States as the main trading nation, as the main superpower. And what Donald Trump has done, in fact, serves their purposes. We have heard Xi Jinping and other Chinese leaders saying that China has demonstrated that it is a much more reliable trade partner, that it favors free trade, globalization, and in the long run, I think this will work for China. So their goal will be to protect the international trading system, because they still need that system to work to achieve their objectives.
So where then? This is my last question for you this morning. Where does this leave Canada, and where does this leave things for consumers who buy things from China?
Well, of course, in our own case, I think at some point we will have to reassess whether we want to continue with imposing 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. We did that to side with the Americans. We have not received any brownie points for this. But also, in fact, the huge tariffs that are now in place between China and the U.S. could favor our exporters, especially our exports of agricultural products because we are faced. China has imposed some tariffs, on Canadian canola, but at some point, China may be forced also to revise this, and I think for Canada, it's important to have another look at the Chinese market to try to see where we could make inroads. And in fact, in some way, if we negotiate carefully, we could end up benefiting from this trade war between the U.S. and China.
Right, prevents or create some sort of opportunity. Guy St. Jacques, always glad to have you on and talk to us, given your expertise. Guy St. Jacques is the former Canadian ambassador to China.